Leader of the third party.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Yesterday, this government told my colleague that they view housing as a human right. We agree. Everyone has the right to livable, affordable housing. But in BC, housing has been treated like a commodity instead of a right. In the first quarterly report of BC's finances last month, this government touted a, quote, stronger than anticipated financial recovery and a smaller deficit than was projected. But the numbers don't tell the whole story. Our economic growth is tied to an explosion in housing prices. According to the BC Real Estate Association, prices for all homes increased by 17.1% this year. The increase in prices shows up on the province's books, deepening our government's reliance on an overheated and unsustainable housing market. My question, Honourable Speaker, is to the Minister of Finance. This government has a vested interest in keeping housing prices elevated. They also have a commitment to uphold the human right for everyone to have livable, stable, affordable housing. How does the minister reconcile this conflict?
Minister of Finance.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I have to say to the member how much I appreciate her asking the question. As a government, we have been very strong on making sure that housing affordability is addressed here in this province. We've recognized that BC's housing market continues to be a priority for our government, and we've made significant efforts to address that. From a 30-point housing plan, where I believe all elements of the plan have been enacted, most of them have been completed. We've brought in a speculation and vacancy tax to make sure that we can deliver for British Columbians. We've brought about billions of dollars of investment into housing, but not just for those on the bottom end of the income scale, but for middle-income British Columbians, with $2 billion invested into the Housing Hub to make sure that we can also bring housing about for those middle-income British Columbians. Mr. Speaker, we know that the pandemic has jolted the housing market in a significant way. We were making headway on addressing housing prior to the pandemic. We know that there's more to do, and we're a government that's committed to continuing to address housing affordability here in British Columbia.
Leader of third party, supplemental.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and thank you to the Minister for that response. And yes, I appreciate what she's identified, the 30-point housing plan, the speculation tax, investments in housing, and the Housing Hub. However, let's go back to the 17.1% increase in housing prices this year. And so the outcomes are not the desired ones if this government is truly committed to housing being a human right. Let's just consider, for example, how many people who work in this building who are struggling to find affordable rentals and for whom the dream of home ownership in Victoria is an impossible one. This is connected to the commodification of housing. Government is overly reliant on housing revenue to display a, quote, healthy economy, but the economy isn't healthy if it's not working for the vast majority of people. Let's remember, GDP measures everything except that which makes life worthwhile. Yes, COVID-19 has impacted the economy and the housing market, but that doesn't absolve the government of its responsibility to act. We're facing a housing crisis. The crisis is deepening. Through you, Honourable Speaker, again to the Minister of Finance. What was not addressed in the minister's response is the fact that people can't afford to live in their communities, nor does it address the conflict that this government appears to be unwilling to acknowledge. Is housing for wealth creation, or is it a human right?
Minister of Finance.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and perhaps the member didn't quite understand my previous response, given the significant efforts that this government has made after vacancy of the previous government on this file. We have taken significant action. In fact, in our last budget was $2 billion more into addressing that very gap in the housing continuum. That's a government. That is a government that's taking action. No one here is saying that we're done, Mr. Speaker. We have a lot more work to do, and I know that the members opposite will join with us in that work. The fact that we have, just in the last, I think, 3 years, we have 35,000 rental homes in the pipeline. In the last 4 years. And that is going to be coming online. We have more to do, Mr. Speaker, and I look forward to working with all members of the House to continue to address housing affordability here in British Columbia.